Many students have said, Pick Silver Soldering is a mystery. What is it all about? In this video, let's solve that mystery by 1. Introducing you to the picks needed to pick silver solder. I'll even show you how to make a pick. 2. How to prepare the solder. 3. What fluxes can be used. 4. I'll show you the steps of picking up solder, solder placement, and proper melting techniques. I'm Greenwood. Welcome to my studio. Let's get soldering. Here are some examples of soldering picks. The first one is a recycled dental tool. It is thick and stiff, so it's great for moving or applying some pressure on your piece during soldering, but not the best for picking up solder. Next is a steel pin and wooden dowel pick. It is nice and small and can pick up small pallions of solder. The drawbacks of using steel picks are they can flake off pieces of steel when heated too hot, and they can bend very easily. But the biggest drawback to steel picks is solder can stick to the pick if it is not clean. The next pick is a larger wooden dowel pick, and it's made from a coat hanger wire. It is thicker than the previous steel pick, and it's inexpensive. I'll show you how to make this pick. Cut a section of coat hanger with heavy wire cutters. This hanger has a plastic coating that can be stripped off easily. If your hanger is painted, burn off the paint. I filed the two ends to points, one with a longer taper. Insert the opposite end into the dowel rod with a hole drilled to match the diameter of the wire. To seat the wire, tap on the handle end with your rawhide mallet. The last pick is a titanium pick with an aluminum handle. The pick head is strong and can be removed and replaced. The big advantage of the titanium pick is that solder will not stick to it. Because the solder won't stick, you can push the melted solder into position if needed. The titanium also doesn't conduct heat well, so it won't draw heat away from the solder joint. The titanium can bend at high temps, so use the dental tools if you need to apply pressure to your solder project. I strongly feel that solder should be clean and free of dirt and oxides to get the best solder joint. I used to use steel wool to clean the solder, but I found that small remnants of steel wool were finding their way into the pickle pot and contaminating the pickle. I only use emery cloth or Scotch-Brite pads now. Place the solder on your bench and rub it with Scotch-Brite on both sides. This will remove any dirt, grease, or oxides. Cut a fringe with your solder shears. Cut the pallion size to match the solder joint of your project. Place the fringe end on your clean finger and cut square pallions. They will stay on your finger and not fly all over the studio. Cut them nice and square and then drop them into a small tray. Cut only enough for your project. If you cut and store the pallions, they will reoxidize while waiting for your next project. Flux is a must for pick soldering. I use paste borax flux for a majority of my work, but liquid flux comes in handy for delicate work. I like a little bit more borax in my liquid flux, so I add some boric acid to the commercial liquid flux. The liquid flux can be sprayed onto the piece or brushed. Let's start by using the titanium pick and paste borax flux. 1. Heat the jump rings. 2. Then heat the pallion of solder until it balls up. 3. Touch or push the pick into the balled solder. The solder will stick to the pick. 4. You can then place the pallion exactly where you want. You can place the balled solder and then heat the jump rings, or you can heat the jump rings up to the melting temperature and touch the joint with the picked solder. It will flow immediately. This takes a little practice because you're holding the torch in one hand and the pick in the other. I'm using the liquid flux here, applying it with a brush. You can use a small spray bottle also. Start heating the piece. Ball the solder. Pick up the solder. Place the solder and heat evenly on both sides of the solder joint. Let's use borax flux in the steel pick we made out of the coat hanger. Notice how you can use the pick to push the pieces back into position if they move. Let's solder some jump rings with liquid flux in the steel pick. Ball and pick up the solder and place in position. Notice here that I heated the upper jump ring too much and the solder flowed only on that jump ring. We'll fix that in a minute. We'll go to the next solder joint and heat both jump rings evenly so it will flow right in the solder joint, and then we'll fix the previous solder joint. Heating both sides evenly and we're all done. Pick soldering is a technique that you need to learn to round out your soldering education. It is fast, easy, strong, and accurate. After learning pick soldering correctly, you will be able to forge, texture, and shape your solder joints with confidence and ease. Pick silver soldering is not a mystery. You just need to understand the basic steps and practice, practice, practice. I hope this video has given you the basic understanding and insights into the interesting world of pick silver soldering. Thank you for all your comments and suggestions. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm Greg Greenwood, and I'll see you next time.